Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Hello all, hope you're safe. Welcome to another video of Francis Avenue Unacademy. This is Sai Teja Varanasi, a sophomore at IIT Bombay. My past videos have talked about my math, physics, chemistry preparations and the way I read my NCERT. So if you have not watched those videos yet, go and check them immediately. In this video, I'll be talking about semiconductors. In my course of preparation, semiconductors was one of the most challenging topics I've faced. I've done its preparation for 3 times and I was only successful once. In this video, I'll be sharing my preparation strategy through all of the 3 times so that you'll know what to do and what not to do in the semiconductors topic. So if you have not started your preparation yet or you feel that you're weak in the topic, watch until the end of this video. Before we begin, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Let us start now. Semiconductors is a relatively new topic in physics. So you won't find a complete text material through which you can study once and you'll gain everything from it. That's not how it works, at least in this topic. Even if you take a normal topic like mechanics and if you read a completely advanced book on it, you'll discover a lot of points which you have never encountered before and you'll feel that you're not done with mechanics. But you won't need all of that for writing your exam. In the same way, you won't need all of the knowledge that is present in semiconductors to write your exam. Because materials are not complete in this topic, you might have to look at a lot of other materials. In the course of this process, you'll discover that you are yet to learn a lot of other things. But it is, trust me on this, it is true for a lot of topics. But you don't need to know them exactly in order to get successful in your exam. So you have to be careful while you're referring all these international texts or texts on internet. When I was doing my semiconductors preparation for the first time, I was in 10th and I was preparing for some Olympiad. So I started reading H.C. Verma text first. And while reading through the text, there were a lot of places where I felt that where I didn't intellectually connect with the point, where I was not able to understand the points with the logic I had. And some of the times it just felt reverse. But I just kept going through it because in my past experience, I felt that when you read a text completely, while you're reading a text, if there's a point which you're not able to understand the first time, and if you go through the book, to the next few lines, you'll discover what you lack to understand that point in the next couple of points. So the author of the book will eventually justify what you didn't understand through the text of the course. So it was my practice to not stop between, while I'm reading something. I didn't used to stop at some place and I read some text and then come back to this. So I felt that it would somehow disturb my flow. So I just would, complete my reading on it, even if I didn't understand some part of it. While I was reading H.C. Verma, I just rushed through the preparation, the whole thing. There were a lot of things like amplifiers, logic circuits, and there are some things I understand and some things I didn't understand. And I directly started, attempting NSCP past questions. NSCP, as you might all know, is the first stage of physics Olympiad. So I was preparing for that, and while I was solving questions, I just discovered that I was able to solve some of the questions. Like I was able to solve 20-30% of the questions, even if I didn't understand a couple of things while I was reading through H.C. Verma. Finally, I had to leave the topic for good. Because I couldn't connect with the topic and I couldn't feel that I was getting something from that topic. So I had to leave that topic completely. And when the next time I was doing my preparation, I was in 11th, and I started to read NCERT because I felt that it would be somewhat basic text. It's the same case all over again. I couldn't able to understand some of the points. I know what those points are now, but I couldn't understand them with the logic I had. Many of you might feel the same thing in the topic of semiconductors. You'll feel that something is not correct according to your logic, but when you're reading for the second time, you know what those points are. You'll be able to, you know it just as a fact. You don't know it with your logic, or you can't deduce it with your logic. You just know it as a fact, and you'll be able to answer some more of those questions in your exam. And then I started to solve NACP past questions again, and I was able to do more questions than the last time, but I wasn't able to do the questions which are new, for which I had to apply my concepts, and to solve the question, or at least I have to. There's a more complex thing. I have to use my basic concepts to solve those questions. In those kind of questions, I was never able to get to the answer, and in some of the cases, I couldn't able to understand the questions too. And this is the thing in JEE Advanced and JEE Mains. Semiconductors, as I've already told you, is a relatively new subject, and there are a lot of questions which can be framed so that you wouldn't even understand most of it. But therein lies a more basic concept with which you can solve the questions directly. So that is what you would miss if you just rush to the topic without understanding some of the points in it. So now I'll be sharing you the final preparation which I did while I was in 12th, so that I had more experience in physics, I had more experience in problem solving and reading through texts. So the third time I was successful in gaining everything I need to write my JEE Advanced and JEE Mains exams, also my Olympiads. So I'll be sharing you my preparation strategy with you, so that you can strategize your plan for reading semiconductors. So let's start. Preparation than my last 2 attempts. The first thing I did is to watch my lectures. Lectures in this topic are very important because you'll gain a platform to ask your doubts for the first time you're learning a topic. If you didn't understand what your teachers just said, you can ask him right away so that he can clear some of it with the knowledge he has. So that would be a pretty good thing to do. So first, watch your lectures completely and ask the questions right there if you didn't understand something. In some cases like electricity, it's almost true with all of the topics. You just have to ask the questions right away if you didn't get anything. But in some cases like current, electricity and all, you'll be able to get it after your class if you just read through some text. But if you're not able to understand something in this topic, you have to ask it right away to your teachers. And then I started to read my NCERT. NCERT has a lot of information in this topic. And in most of the modern physics topics, NCERT has a lot of information to digest. So you might want to read NCERT in parts. Like you take the first few topics like extrinsic semiconductors, intrinsic semiconductors, and just until the PN diodes. You might want to split your portion into 2 or 3 parts so that you can do it one by one. And especially while you're reading through NCERT, if you didn't understand something, clear it right away, because there's already a lot of text missing in NCERT, because the topic is relatively new and you won't understand. You won't even understand if something else was written in there. So some lines are directly skipped, some things which you require to understand the next thing or the previous thing. So if you're not sure on something, clear it right away, because basics of this topic are very important, as it would be the first part of your preparation, like intrinsic, extrinsic semiconductors and the basic diodes and the voltage gaps and the barrier potentials and the displacement currents. These things are very important in order to understand the next things. If you are clear with what a diode does and all these definitions, you'll be able to understand the things which come later, like amplifiers or circuits, logic circuits and all. So you have to be clear with every point in NCERT at the same time while you're reading it. This was not the same thing I told before. I was telling you how I strategize my NCERT preparation. I already made a video on that. You might want to check it out too if you want to know what I said in that. While you're reading NCERT in other topics, you just have to move through your preparation. Even if you didn't understand something, you just have to underline it and move to the next thing, because it might get clarified in the next topic or the next couple of lines. It's not the case with semiconductors, so you just have to clear it right away. This is an important thing, so I'm stressing it a lot of times. And then you have to come to the questions at the end of NCERT. These would, in a sense, give you the summary of all the things which you have read in NCERT. It might also prompt you to read some other things in NCERT, by which you'll only gain more perfection in the topic. After which, you just have to come directly to solving JEE Mains and JEE Advanced questions. If you didn't get something, refer to whatever the material you have, like your reference books or anything, or even your NCERT or your notes. Clear it right away, and then after you're done with solving your JEE Mains and JEE Advanced questions, you've reached the point of confidence. You have confidence that you can solve it. You can solve most of the questions, at least if they come in your JEE Advanced and JEE Mains exams. This is what you must do. Like even if you're preparing for something other than JEE Mains and JEE Advanced, these are the first steps you have to follow. You have to get a confidence that you can solve the questions in your exam. Only then you can build your topic more effectively. That's why after you solve your basic questions, I would always recommend you to solve JEE Advanced and JEE Mains questions. Only after then you can build your topic by solving somewhat tougher topics or covering somewhat tougher materials or the extra materials. And after this, I've started to read my H.C. Verma. H.C. Verma is a pretty good book for modern physics. While you're reading through H.C. Verma, you'll find a couple of more points or a couple of more realistic phenomena by which you can understand the topic more effectively. And I would also recommend you to look through some topics of C. Vijayawit. This is a pretty good book for modern physics, but this does not have a lot on semiconductors, but it just has some points which you have to go through in order to make your preparation, in order to get a better understanding of the topic. It will clear some of your basic doubts. That's all most people will have. Basic doubts, in the smallest things in semiconductors, which won't be cleared anywhere in your notes or your NCERT. And it would be also good if you made some healthy discussions with your friends, so that you'll be able to remember the topics more effectively, or you might also come with some better explanations of the things which you're observing. And finally, come to NSCP past problems. NSCP past problems are somewhat greater in level than JEE Advanced and JEE Mains questions in this topic. It's not exactly the case with other topics, but in this topic there are somewhat advanced than JEE Mains and JEE Advanced questions. So after completing your reading, after going through your reference materials and all, you'll then come to NSCP past problems, and you'll discover that you can solve most of the questions unless the topic is purely on some information. You do good to just know the points which you have not read in those questions and leave it right there. Do not go more deep into this topic, because you won't need it for whatever exam you're preparing. And then if you still got time and you still want to perfectionate this topic, pick some first level Olympiad questions from some other countries. Like US has an entrance test for its physics Olympiad too, so these questions are also quite good. So you can solve that too if you still feel that you have more room to grow. After completing this, in theory, you can solve any question now. So you're good to go to your exam with all that you've got in your bag. So at this point, you can leave the preparation completely, and you might want to make some short notes to the points, and you'll just have to refer to them before your exams. That's all you have to do in semiconductors. It would be more good if you did the preparation of this topic in stages. Now I'll be showing you my NCERT ones, and I'll just cover I'll just tell you some of the important subheadings so that this video becomes somewhat complete. Now, do not leave these kind of things. In most of the other topics, these kind of things are pretty much not required for your exams. But in semiconductors, there's a lot to get from these things too. You'll understand how these things are dealt when you read these kind of things. and be good with your definitions. Like solve the example questions too, and be perfect with your definitions, and be clear on the basics of the topics. I would say that until this would be your phase one of your preparation. You have to do this in one go. These are the basics. After you understand your basics, you'll be more confident to read the next part of it. And once you're done with the PN junctions, you're pretty much complete in your preparation. In theory, you'll be able to do anything. And the next test parts are just applying the knowledge you have gained. And do not leave any graph in semiconductors untouched. See every graph and try to explain it with what you have. And if you're good with basics, you'll just be able to draw those graphs with your intuition. That is all you would need in your exams. You won't be asked purely mathematical questions on this topic. Most probably you'll be just given some graphs and you have to identify which type of semiconductor it belongs to, or you just have to identify the definitions of it, or the questions will rely on very simple mathematical formulas. Until this would be your P2 of your preparation. After you're done with your diodes, you'll come to applications of your diodes as rectifiers, amplifiers, and you'll see a couple of purposes your diodes are used for. And this is, as far as I feel, this is the most important topic for JEE Mains. Every year a question comes from one of this type of diodes, special purpose of PN junction diodes. So you have to be very clear on this topic. And do transistors as separately, because transistors is somewhat complex, and you have to you will require some guidance from your teachers too. So listen to your classes perfectly and do junction transistor with more concentration, because it will demand you to read a lot in this topic and you won't be able to understand most of the things in it. So you might have to remember some things too, like there might be 2-3 types in transistors, and you just have to know what happens in each of them. And after you gain the perfection, you can directly dive into applications of it as an amplifier. It will be pretty clear to you. And as I've already told you, be good with your graphs. Logic gates is comparatively easy topic if you are good with your logic and math. Once try to construct all your logic gates with the diodes you have, and then you'll be ready to solve any question on this topic. You just need logic and math, like your Boolean algebra, to solve all the questions. It'll be pretty easy once you solve a couple of questions on it. So it is not a very hard topic. Just learn all the definitions and try to construct it with the knowledge you got with some semiconductors. If you follow what I've told you in this video perfectly, I'm pretty confident that you'll be, you'll know all you would want to write your JEE Mains and JEE Advanced exams. So if you feel that you benefited from this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. The next video I'll be covering about my preparation in EM waves. Stay tuned for it. Until then, bye.